give value to other people.
I love it, dude. And there's you just you let me know when you're ready to get started, man.
Yeah, go ahead and shoot them my way.
All right, so some things I want to know, like, is like with your personal journey as a track athlete, how did that go, and when did it start and stuff?
Yeah, I won't try to bore you or go too deep into it, but I started throwing in eighth grade. I was really bad actually. I think I was throwing like 60 or 70 feet with the 1K.
Mm.
Uh, I ended up throwing 99 feet with the 1K. And then I was moving around all in high school and stuff. I went to three different high schools. So three different environments, three different teams. And my next school, when I moved from Nebraska to Tennessee. It was a really horrible program. No one knew how to throw. Throwing's not very big down in the South the way it is like up north in Nebraska. So no good coaches. But I actually moved there and I was going to play baseball on the team. And it was a real big school with a really competitive baseball team. And I didn't really give a crap about throwing at this point. It was my freshman year of high school, and so I went to tryouts for the baseball team, and they said no. And I was flabbergasted because I was really good at baseball, and I love baseball.
Yeah.
And some of the other guys told me like, "Hey, dude, like they handpick their players from like middle school and elementary. Like no one makes tryouts." I was like, that sucks because I was pumped for that.
Mm.
I ended up continuing playing baseball for like a select team, like a travel league stuff. But in the meantime, I was like, let me go do track. I'll go keep throwing discus, whatever. And I sucked. First 2 years, freshman year, I threw 100 feet. Uh, Sophomore year, I threw 110 feet. So not a big jump.
Yeah.
And then it all started sophomore year. I was playing football and baseball and track. And I came from football practice to track practice. And it was towards the end of the season. And the coach was like I remember this very clearly. He told me, like, dude, you're not good enough for us to take you to any of these track meets. Like, you're not going to score points for us. Just come back next year or something. And I was like, that got me all fired up, little like 16-year-old Joe.
Yeah.
And dude, I went home and I spent all my like allowance money and stuff. My dad took me to Lowe's. We got a crap load of concrete. Um, and then I bought a big old net on Amazon. And I did it all myself. I poured a concrete slab in the backyard and I hung a net in between two trees. And I just threw my butt off. Like I would go out there every day and do like 60 throws into the net. And with the net, it doesn't take long. You can do that in like 20 or 30
Yeah.
minutes. And so I got some volume in. I came back the next year, just ready to roll. I think I threw like 140 something, 143. And then we ended up moving to Virginia, and Virginia was an awesome place. The school we went to, it was not a very nice school. There was a lot of kids. I want to say it was like 600 kids in my graduating class. It was huge. We had 40 throwers on the team, so it was a huge throw squad. And that's where I finally kind of felt like I blossomed. I had a coach who was helping me out, and I opened up my senior year throwing 172, and it was awesome. And that's how I ended up, having the opportunity to go to college. I went to college, almost the same thing in college. We had a new coach every year, and a coach was quitting every year, and usually they would quit halfway through the year. So we were coaching ourselves the whole time, and that's where I really found it helpful that I didn't really have coaches in high school. I was still coaching myself in college. Um,
Yeah.
and that's where I saw the value in like, let me make you know how like the program that I make and sell to people. Let me
Yeah.
make something like that I wish I had when I was younger. All
Yeah.
the training, all the stuff you're throwing in the circle, everything you need, and that's kind of where because my junior year of college, I left the track team. I said, you can have my scholarship. I'm not competing with you guys anymore. This is a total mess. I'm going to compete on my own. I'm just going to do my stuff unattached.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's where I kind of just took the wheel and I said, I'm on my own. I'm training myself. I'm going to start making more programs. I'm going to start coaching more people. And that's really where it took off, where not only my like athletic journey, I feel like that was like the pinnacle or like I guess a branch in the path. Um, but it also took me down a road of coaching instead of being an athlete. I started coaching a lot of people and realizing like, hey, I have a passion for coaching and stuff. Like this is where it's at. So,
Yeah.
and then as of right now, I'm throwing disc like once a month, once a week, just kind of maintaining what I got. But I'm not really competing. I'm probably not going to throw discus this year. I'm trying to compete in the 60 meter next December. So I'm trying to get good at sprinting.
Yeah, I've been seeing that stuff.
Yeah. But I'd say that's a rough rundown of my journey with throwing.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember I'll see some videos. I was like, this dude is tossing it. I was wondering like, why aren't you in college? Like, it was like good to hear that story. And like you kind of touched on like starting that kind of started your coaching career. Like that was like the pinnacle movement that just like from thrower to coach was kind of
Yep.
like leaving to compete on your own.
Yep.
Okay, so
And
what were you gonna say?
all right, I think what's funny is a lot of people at the time told me like, dude, this is the stupidest thing anyone's ever done. Like I have a video I posted on Instagram saying like, hey guys, after this year, I'm gonna be leaving, Division 1 and competing on my own. And dude, sometimes I'll still go look at the comments, like all these guys saying like, you're an absolute idiot, like you're not qualified to coach anyone. You're gonna pretty much people telling me I'm gonna crash and burn. And
Yeah.
like looking back, that was the best decision I ever made. Like I'm way happier, and I feel like I set myself up doing that. But
Yeah.
yep,
What do you so you're competing to run in the 60?
yeah, I'm trying to compete next year in indoor, probably in Birmingham. I'm gonna try to do one or two track meets, run a 60-meter dash.
Pretty cool, man.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm just right now because I graduated. Technically, I graduated a while ago, but I just moved to Memphis, and now I'm like, let me just do some random stuff. Maybe next year I'll do a strongman competition.
Oh,
Maybe
damn.
powerlifting. There's all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, another thing was like I see a lot of your videos. A lot of it's like strength, the performance, like sprinting and stuff like that. When did you say when you got really knowledgeable in that stuff?
So I went to college, and you know my major was in exercise science. So I kind of already had a feeling I was going to end up doing some sort of coaching. Um, what really got me into it though was being surrounded, like my coaches in the strength room, the weight room. My strength coaches in the weight room when I went to Southern Miss, awesome guys. They knew what they were doing. They were very inspiring. One of them, especially, well, I realized I was like, this is a lot of fun. This is a really rewarding job. Like I want to learn more about these guys, and I would spend time with them and learn from them and stuff. And it's a I don't know, it's one of the most rewarding things you can do, and there's not a lot of money in it. And I know you asked one of these questions. We'll end up going into that more, but it's super rewarding. And what got me really into like the nitty gritty, like, hey, you need to be doing sprints, you need to be doing plyometrics. Here's how you strength train. We're not just doing push ups and box squats. We're writing programs that are periodized so that you're peaking during certain days of the year, like
Yeah.
the really nitty gritty stuff. I really got into that late in my college career when I was doing an internship at a facility that really does that. Pretty much what I'm doing now. Just training general athletes to get faster, stronger, jump higher, not get injured, and perform better. Um, that's that's where I started learning like all these methods and how to really do things instead of like the typical old school football coach saying you just need to get strong as hell and condition your ass off. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot more to it than that, and usually it's the opposite of condition your ass off. But
Yeah.
and then after that internship, I ended up working there for a year. And while I was working there, I was also hired as a strength coach at a university. So I was coaching the softball team, the women's basketball team. I was helping out with the baseball team, and then I was over the men's and women's track and field and cross country. I think that's everything. But that was huge for me. That's where I really got into it. I was, dude, I was coaching like I had maybe 250 athletes under my belt, and I'm writing all of them programs based on what they need, based on, hey, they're getting injured or they're fatigued. We need to adjust this, all that stuff. You mean that's where I really like picked up a lot of things is really doing the job because you can read books, you can get certifications, but until you do the job, that's where it all comes from. Really, is that experience.
Yeah, dude. No, another one was What are some of the cons to being a coach?
So, like I mentioned, a lot of guys will tell you money is the big one. A lot of strength coaches, especially like college strength coaches, they don't make anything. The guys I knew that were coaching me, they were they were getting their housing paid for and like some food, and that's really it. I mean, it's pretty bad. Thankfully, I think it's growing. It's a growing industry. I've talked to a few high school strength coaches. There are high schools paying these guys over six figures a year to coach their team. So it's growing. College coaches are making more. High school coaches are making more. There's a lot more money in the private sector. Like what I do, like I'm not working for any schools right now, other than I'm coaching some throwers at a local high school. But you know, I have kids from every school coming to me to train in my facility. There's a lot of money in that. So what I do has the potential to make a lot of money. You kids will pay anywhere from $300 to $1,000 a month um, to get that. So parents are starting to realize, hey, I want my kid to get this much of a scholarship. I got to invest a little bit, and it pays off. I mean, I've seen it. The last facility I was at, dude, we got kids that when you have a kid that's with you for 2 or 3 years, they are a totally different athlete by the end of that 2 or 3 years. Like these kids are I there's these two kids I trained, and I'm not going to take the credit for them because they were training there before I got there. But these kids are in high school, and they're like ranked top 10 baseball players in the country. One of them went to the major league home run derby and was hitting dingers at the major league home run derby. Like these kids are like top notch, and it's you can't really get there. You can. People have gotten there without the specialized strength training, performance training, but having that under your belt as an athlete makes a huge difference. Like I'm telling you, I love seeing kids come in. First week, I'm like, this kid doesn't know how to run. This kid's slow as hell. He runs weird. He's weak. And then literally, like you start seeing stuff within a few months. Like, oh, he's hauling. He's looking good. Like he's moving. And that to me is the rewarding part. But yeah, the cons would be the pay for a lot of guys. They're not making a lot of money. They're really just doing it for the passion of it. And then sometimes the hours. Thankfully, I have my stuff set up where I don't have too much of a workload. But dude, last year I was getting up at 4:30 a.m. to go coach. I was coaching until like 10 a.m. and then I'd have some free time in the middle of the day to go throw and work out. But then I was coaching again from like 1 p.m. all the way to like 6 or 7 p.m. So I was going home, eat, got to be sleeping, got to be up in 8 hours, and it was like that was really I loved it. Looking back, I was like that was a good time, but
Yeah.
dude, it was tough because you can't call in sick. I mean, if I call in sick, no one's gonna answer the phone at 4:30 a.m. and
Yeah.
go take my spot. Like I got kids waiting for me in the weight room. I gotta be there. So it's really just the hours that a lot of guys work and the pay is pretty bad. But I think there's a lot more money going into that field, and hopefully that problem will be solved. But still crazy hours. Most college strength coaches, they're probably going to be in that gym for 14 hours a day sometimes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's a long time. You got to put a lot of hours into it.
Yep.
What are some of the pros?
Big pro is it's rewarding. Like I said, like seeing kids change and become better, and get a scholarship or win states, win nationals. My best athlete ever, I coached last year. He qualified for the Olympics, and he opened up. I mean, he was in the world lead this January for the 60-meter dash. Um, he ran a 10:01 in the 100 last year and just freakishly fast. And I can't take credit for him. I can't say I built that guy because he came to me. I pretty much inherited him for a year and got to work with him. But like being able to, especially when you have someone like that, let's say someone gives you an Olympian and you have to train them, your job is a lot harder because you have to
Yeah.
you have to somehow increase his performance, but it gets freaky and scary with injuries. You gotta
Oh,
know what you're doing. You have to be able to manage volume, manage fatigue, manage injuries, see them before they happen, treat them when they happen, and prevent them from happening. Because you have a guy like that, you can ruin his whole career if you do one thing wrong in the weight room and he, strains a hamstring a little bit. And especially if you got a dog who like really just doesn't want to stop, he's going to keep running. He's going to destroy his hamstring by the end of the season. So, you know, it is really rewarding though to see a kid do something like that. To see athletes become better, especially with throwing. Like with throwing, it's so easy. You don't even half the time you don't have to get stronger. You don't have to get faster. You just need some better technique. And seeing guys be able to fix that within a short time period, that's super rewarding. So I think that's why I don't think any coaches really get into coaching for the money. It's usually just for the passion and being able to help people.
Yeah. The what is some advice you'd give to someone who's interested in being a strength and performance coach or a throws coach?
I would say number one, educate yourself as much as possible. You can never be too smart. Um, you ever heard of the Dunning Kruger effect, where the smarter you get, the dumber you think you are, and then the dumber you are, the smarter you think you are. You ever heard of that?
I've never heard of that.
It's it's pretty much how like newbies or like let's say like Instagram influencers, they think they know it all versus the guys who know it all, the guys with the PhDs and the guys who have been coaching for years. Those are the guys who are like, I don't know, I still have a lot to learn. Like I'm still figuring this out. Like your goal is to learn so much that you realize how stupid you've been your whole life.
Yeah.
And number two is go learn from other people. Like I learned so much being an intern, and working at this one facility. If I hadn't worked there, I never would have been able to like start my own business and, do what I do now. I don't know what I'd probably be working at like an LA Fitness if I hadn't done that. So
Yeah.
go find someone, go shadow them for free one day a week if you can. Uh, but I think there's more value in that than there is in school. Looking back, I learned a lot going to college and stuff, and I would do it again. But I learned a lot more doing the work and working with people and, just like I said, doing the job. So educate yourself. Once you think you're smart, you're 1% of the way there. Keep educating yourself. Just get a lot of experience. Start coaching people. Coach people for free on Instagram. Go on Instagram. Say, hey, I'm doing a discus analysis. Send me your videos because you learn stuff just by analyzing videos. So educate yourself, get the experience, and find a mentor or coach to shadow and help. I'd say those things were our top three. Those will send you on your way.
Yes, sir. Uh, like here's some good questions here. Like, what is your opinions on like the diet of an athlete? Because like that's something that I myself struggle with. It's like, dude, like how much should I be eating? What should I be eating to be able to perform to the best I can?
That's a great question and one that is almost impossible to answer. But at the end of the day, athletes need a lot of carbs. And you always hear people like, "Hey, if you want to lose weight, you got to stop eating carbs."
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're living in a desk job and you're not moving a lot, you don't really need that many carbs. I mean, carbs are energy source for athletic movements or working out. Fat is the energy source for sitting around and chilling. So if you just stop eating carbs, you're gonna, consume all the fat on you. That's a pretty rough take. But another thing is, eat like just don't eat garbage. I People always ask me for like nutritional advice, and I can give you so many uh, things like you need to, in order to lose 1 pound a week, you have to be in a 500 calorie deficit every day. But you tell someone that, most people, that's going to go way over their head. It's going to confuse them. They'll be like, I can't do this. I can't do this. What I prefer is to say, like, eat stuff that comes from a farm, eat things that are one ingredient. Like, for example, eggs, milk, broccoli, versus like something you found in a wrapper on the shelf that expires in 2 years. Probably shouldn't be eating that, and it has like 90 ingredients in it.
Yeah.
Um, Eat stuff that it comes from a farm. Eat stuff that is gonna rot in the fridge after 2 weeks if you don't eat it. That's how you know it's real food.
Yeah.
And eat enough. If you're trying to lose weight, don't lose it fast. Especially if you're an athlete, you're gonna lose all your strength. You're gonna perform like crap if you lose it too fast. Just you know, a little bit at a time. I would say 1 pound a week is more than enough weight loss or weight gain. If you're gaining more than 1 pound a week, there's a good chance a lot of that is fat. And if you're losing more than 1 pound a week, there's a good chance you're losing muscle in that process. So, for an athlete, just keep it simple. Eat some good food. Eat green stuff. Eat a lot of protein. It's actually really hard to eat more than enough protein. A lot of people say like too much protein will kill your liver. You can safely consume about 700 to 800 grams of protein a day. Um, Not that there's any need to do that, but you should never be scared of too much protein. Like I only weigh like 235 right now. So hypothetically, I only need about 250 grams of protein. I try to eat 300 plus every day. And yeah, I think it helps big time. I'll drink a big protein shake before bed. I'll drink one in the morning, and then my meals have like about 100 grams of protein in them. So I don't know. I feel like I'm bouncing around on that one, but athletes, you need carbs, you need healthy food, and don't eat garbage. That's all I got for that one.
Get it, man. And another thing kind of ties to the same thing. It's like one of the biggest things that I saw, like controversial, whatever, like just that I have a big question about, and what I hear a bunch of people saying all the time is mass moves mass. I kind of want to know, like, well, like go more into that.
So I love that, and you've probably seen me post on my story the past few days. Talking crap about mass moves mass
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, having fat does not have any function other than insulation if you're really cold, and extra energy if you're starving. So fat doesn't move anything. It's if it some people need to realize this and hear this, but it's like wearing a weighted vest to sprint faster or squat more or throw more. So mass does not move mass. I think where a lot of people uh, get that from, and I fully recognize these. And when you're chronically in a caloric surplus, your body is able to get stronger much more quickly. You're able to get much stronger. You're way less likely to get injured when you're having more than enough calories come in, and usually performance is going to go up pretty significantly and pretty acutely, like right away. So I think being in a chronic state of caloric surplus, aka gaining weight, is going to lead to significant performance enhancements right away. Look at the strongest guys in the world, all the strong men. Look at the best shot putters like Joe Kovacs. All these guys are 20 to 30% body fat, and that tells you something. Like if I took Joe Kovacs and took all his fat off him, he'd probably in order for him to lose that fat and being in a caloric deficit, he'd probably get injured and he probably wouldn't feel very good, and that's not worth it. It's okay. He does fine how he does, so I would never tell anyone, "Hey, you need Joe Kovacs. You need to get down to 10% body fat. You need to have abs if you want to throw far." Um, I wouldn't say that, but you should never say bigger moves better.
yeah,
Look at what I like to talk about because people say that people look at throwers like Joe Kovacs or even Ryan Krauser has gained like 100 plus pounds since college and high school. But look at the best discus throwers in the world right now. Alekna, I'm pretty sure he has abs. He's not fat. Valerie Allman, she's shredded.
yeah,
Uh, who else? I mean, I look at all the best. Lawrence Okoye, that dude's shredded. He's thrown close to 70 meters. Connor Bell he's thrown 67 meters. He's shredded. There's really no big discus throwers right now that are chunky. Um, but like I said, I recognize the fact that being in a caloric surplus and slowly gaining weight is going to lead to immediate performance enhancements, and it's going to allow you to not get injured. It's going to allow you to put on strength very quickly. And I think that's one of the reasons why the strongest guys in the world and some of the best shot put athletes are a little chunky. That's okay. But I what I try to get at is like there's no high schooler throwing, you know, unless you're throwing over 60 feet in shot put and 200 feet in discus. Like being fat, actually, I take that back. Being fat's never going to help you. It's
Hmm.
only going to it's a byproduct of being in a state of caloric surplus that will help you. So I don't know. I could bounce all day on that, but I would tell a lot of people mass doesn't move mass. You can be strong as hell. Like when I lost 40 pounds this summer, I went through discus and I was able to throw about my PR. I was like, what? Like I couldn't understand how that happened because I was so detrained. And I think half the reason was just I'm just a little lighter. I mean, I'm not running. I took a 40-pound weighted vest off of me, and then now I'm throwing my little 5-pound discus. I think you're going to move across the circle faster. So I don't know. That's a fun topic to talk about. And like I said, I recognize that there's two sides of it. You know, a lot of the strongest guys in the world, like Eddie Hall, never would have deadlifted 1,000 pounds without being a little chunky.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh, how important is plyometric training for a thrower?
I think it's huge. You may have heard me say this before, but the throw is a sprint.
Yeah.
Uh, the throw is also plyometric. There's a cool guy who he does a lot of force plate data in the circle. So you imagine throwing on a force plate that's reading how many newtons you're putting into the ground. The throw is very similar to, you know, sprinting, jumping, and then you have a big push at the end of it. Um, it's also, if you want to look at how the nervous system is being used and how motor units are being recruited, how quickly they're being recruited, it's not some sort of push. It's a twitch. Everything's twitchy. You know, you're pulling your muscles. You don't push a disc. You turn so hard that this twitchiness kind of it just whips it around. You're stretching your muscles, which is plyometrics. You don't push in plyometrics. You It's called the stretch shortening cycle. Like if this is my calf muscle, this is my foot. You don't come down to the ground and then push the ground away. Right before you come down, your calf locks up and then it uses the elasticity of your tendons, and then it bounces. So stretching or not stretching, throwing really is plyometrics. You know, it's a twitchy, you're using a stretch shortening cycle. It's explosive. Nothing you do is going to be slow in the throw. Um,
Yeah.
I'd say plyometrics are a must. I don't know any throwers who have thrown far at all without doing plyometrics. You got videos of every discus thrower. You know, you can find videos of these guys doing anything: hurdle jumps, hurdle hops, sprinting, bounds, box jumps, um, and all of it. I think a lot of throwers do tend to lean towards the Olympic lifts, um, which is totally fine, but there's still a lot of value to be had in doing plyometrics and putting that quick, explosive force into the ground because it's similar to throwing. That's what throwing is.
Yeah. Uh, another big question is how heavy and often should a thrower be lifting in season?
So that's a great question. Technically, if I were to dumb it down, the way I see it is more volume in the off season, less volume in season. Lighter weights, more reps in the off season, heavier weights, less reps in season. So, like you've probably seen guys, the day before a track meet, you know, doing one rep at like 90% of their bench max or something, or doing like some pin squats with 700 pounds on their back. So you do want to have that huge stimulus. You want to load the body up in some manner. Your goal is to get that stimulus, get as much stimulus as possible without inducing any fatigue. Your whole goal in season is to reduce fatigue. That's why you do less throws. You're not going to go out the week of a track meet and throw 6 days a week and do 40 or 50 throws a day. If you are going to throw 6 days a week, which is usually what I would do, I'd go out, I'd warm up real good, have you like 50% power throws, and then I would do like 10 full throws as hard as I could. And then boom, that's it. I'm not going to go into any state of fatigue. I'm just going to be really explosive, really powerful, intensity is always super high in season. You're not going to do a lot of stuff at low intensity. It's just, like I said, less reps, less volume, um, avoid fatigue. So as far as how many days a week, for me, I was lifting, I think it was 4 to 5 days a week, or 3 to 4 days a week in season. Sometimes I would do 4 to 5, maybe 6 days a week, but I would really split it up. So each workout's only like 30 minutes of hitting a few really good sets instead of me sitting in the weight room for 2 hours doing all these things. By the time I'm doing my finishing stuff, I'm already so fatigued that I'm not really able to get a lot out of those. So I prefer to split everything up instead of having a really hard easy day, really hard day, because it throws your nervous system off. So in season, you can lift 5 or 6 days a week. Go ahead and get strong. If you see yourself plateauing and getting weaker, you're probably doing too much volume. You're not recovering well enough. You're not eating enough. Um, but in season, that's when you got to be careful. Less is more. Like Tony Holler says, a great sprint coach. Don't burn the steak. Go in, get what you need, hit it hard, and walk out feeling good and fresh. That's the goal in season.
Yeah. Uh, Another thing is like out of season. You said like in season, you said you want to get a practice about like 10 full throws in, right? And that's like how many days a week again?
Roughly, like I would do that 5 days a week, and usually I would start. So if I have a meet on Saturday, Monday and Tuesday, I'm still getting some volume in. I might do 40 or 30 or 20 throws, but I'm kind of pyramid going downwards and downwards. So let's say Monday, 40 throws, Tuesday, 35 throws, Wednesday, 25 throws, Thursday, maybe 15 throws. And then Friday, day before meet, I might come out and do like 10 throws, if at all.
Yeah.
And so I'm pyramiding down the body. As my volume is going down, my body is becoming more and more recovered. My performance is going up. My nervous system is getting kind of excited. And then by the time Saturday comes, you should be totally ready to go. And then versus like in off season, I used to, for a while, the one summer I did 70 throws a day, 7 days a week for like 2 or 3 months. And half those throws were with the 2.5K, the other half were with the 2K. And that I was throwing pretty far, and I responded really well to that volume. I did that for a while, but I ended up finding like, hey, what if you take all that volume, all the energy you're expending on 70 throws, and what if you really just take your time and crunch it down? So every one throw, you're putting in the same intensity and focus and energy that you would with like 3 throws. And I think as I started to realize that and adopt that, it helped me out. I will say, as a younger thrower, sometimes it's good to have some volume. Go try it. Go try one day. Do 100 full throws in one day. I think everyone should try that at least once. I've done it. It'll whoop your butt. But for a young thrower, those sets, those reps, getting those reps in, it's going to help. I don't think until you're throwing at like the college level or a really high level or you're in season that you need to worry about too much volume with throwing. Um, but that's a lot of people disagree. Some I've talked to guys who have thrown close to 70 meters who throw 2 days a week and they do like 15 throws. And I was like, how the heck are you doing that? But
Yeah.
I think everyone's different. Every coach is different, and there's a million ways to skin that cat.
Yeah. Wrapping up here, man. I appreciate the time. We got about like 5 minutes left on this Zoom. But what are some things you wish you would have known as a thrower and as a coach that you do now, like going back?
Um, Kind of all the stuff we talked about today. Like I've made a lot of mistakes as a young athlete doing the wrong things. Like I didn't start doing Olympic lifts till my senior year of high school. If I could go back, I'd start learning the snatch and the clean. In middle school, it doesn't have to be heavy; just got to be fast and have good technique. Um, Same thing with throwing. I'd probably, if I could go back and talk to like myself in freshman, sophomore, junior year of college, I'd say, dude, slow down, stop throwing like a maniac, and let's keep working on technique. Um, I think you can never have too good of technique. Um, but that, and then I'd start doing sprints a lot sooner. I didn't start really putting sprints in training and emphasizing that until my senior year of college. If I could go back, I would have started doing sprints twice a week in high school, and I think I'd be a totally different athlete right now. Um, so I would have started doing sprints sooner. I would have started doing plyometrics sooner. I would have started doing uh, Olympic lifts sooner. I would have put a larger emphasis on educating myself and learning the technique a little better, a little sooner. Um, I'm gonna say that's it. I mean, that's everything I would go back and change is just do all the stuff that I do now, but sooner, you know? And that comes with educating yourself and getting the experience. If I had gotten this experience sooner, I would have started doing that stuff sooner. So, you know, yeah.
I appreciate it, man. I enjoy
Anytime.
watching your videos. I'm gonna keep watching them. I'm keep up with your journey.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you calling.
All right, man. I'll see you.
All right. You too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.